OG and Gigi, guys. I'm OG and this is Gigi.
And this is Life Radically Redefined.
On this journey called life, you will definitely encounter the unexpected.
Sometimes you'll laugh, sometimes you'll cry, but in the end, if you have someone that will take your hand and walk through it with you, it makes everything better.
You get to make all kinds of discoveries along the way. Some about yourself, some about others. We made some and we just want to share it with you.
So we invite you to just listen, ask questions, make your own discoveries.
For your coffee, tea, or whatever you prefer, settle in and let's talk about dating, courting, marriage, and life.
OG and Gigi, Life Radically Redefined.
Welcome back, guys. I'm OG and this is Gigi, and this is part 2 of the women's panel.
Right, and ladies, just remind our audience your names.
Hi, I'm Alma. I'm C. And I'm Ashley.
All right, we're just going to get right into it. So I'll start with, when you are dating, how much do you tell about your date?
Or your partner. How much do you share with friends
and family? We'll start with Ashley.
When I was younger, a little bit more to my mom, I definitely would share with her. And then I started to get to a point where I started to scale back on it. Now, I do have a couple of girlfriends that I kind of talk to, that are a little bit older than me, that I talk to kind of get that guidance, or that, okay, was I, check me.
Right.
You do need a check moment, because a lot of times if it's from ourselves, I'm like, oh, that was fine. I was right. Mm-hmm. So I sometimes have to check myself, and I go outside of myself, and I have people in my life that I surrounded myself with that are, very good people and have a good head on their shoulder, and that I, like an example would be OG and Gigi. I would go to Gigi for that guidance. If I were going through something complicated, I would look to her because she is wiser and she is a good model, her relationship and, the marriage. So yes, definitely someone I would look to.
True. Yeah.
So, but I do limit, the chatter with the family.
Okay.
What about you, Z?
I think in the beginning stage, I learned to kind of keep it to myself and between that person. As things move forward, little by little, you can tell your closest friends until you guys make it official. But the one person that I don't really keep secrets from is my sister. Mm-hmm. She's 20 years old, but she acts like she's already, married and settled down and everything. She's very wise and smart. She's my little big sister.
Right.
But I mostly go to her for everything, for any type of advice. She's very straightforward. She tells me, if I'm wrong, like you were saying. She kind of checks me. But in the beginning stage, I just want to keep all the gooey stuff to myself for now.
Ditto with both ladies. I have my mentors, my mamas, especially my spiritual mamas. I have one in particular. Mm-hmm. That's who I will take, and especially in the beginning, I'll take that. Now listen, Mom, let me tell you, I need your wisdom. I'm talking to them. Should I keep talking to them or what? I go through that. And as far as my friends go, I really don't break bread with them on that until I'm sure where you stand in my life.
Right.
Until we have some form of communication or a standard as to what because I don't want them to assume anything, and I'm talking about you all the time, and they see both our side, and dating other people, and they have a misconception.
Right.
Yeah. So I just hold that up. Yeah, hold it till you know.
It's also bad juju.
Right.
You don't want people jinxing everything.
That's wisdom. Right.
And to piggyback on that, definitely have some friends that, even as men, we also sometimes fall into and tell mama about what happened. Mm. However, through experience and I guess maturity, we confide in each other, which kind of helps.
Right. I think I want to talk to a point that the ladies talked about. I think they each said something about speaking to other women or even women that are older. All right, so you all know, if you've watched our podcast, that we're Christians. And as Christians, the Bible talks to us directly about, like, the older men are, and I'm tapping you, the older men are supposed to teach the younger men.
I do have a little gray hair.
Right. And the older women have an obligation to teach the younger women. And I feel like, well, you know what, I'm not even saying what I feel like. Do you guys feel like some of that has fallen off? Where older women aren't saying, hey, like, let me talk to you about womanhood. Let me, think about how you were prepared for womanhood and what that looked like. Do you feel as if older women in your life took on that responsibility to lead you into womanhood? I'm looking at you, so you got to answer.
So, with my family dynamic, we are not a really big family, and we are like my mother's mother passed away when she was young.
Mm-hmm.
So to have that guidance as she was coming up, it was a lack thereof, in that particular situation. When I was coming up, she eventually had my dad's mom, my paternal grandmother.
Okay.
Yeah, so she had my dad's mom to kind of guide her a little bit, but that wasn't her mom.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff was there. So eventually she had someone to look to kind of show her and tell her. But like I think it was like, for me, it was like a skip a generation. So I had my mom to kind of talk to me and tell me. So when just looking at the overall like society, and I could be totally wrong because I haven't really sat down and did studies and research, but I think we've skipped it's like a gap in the generations for some reason, where we don't have it, where I say, for instance, I'm in my 30s.
Mm-hmm.
I had my mother,
Mm-hmm.
but young ladies in their 20s, it seems that they don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
They're missing, it's a gap in it, and I don't know where it comes from, because there are women here that are in their 40s, 50s, but for some reason it's being missed. And also the younger we are, we're not listening. We're not listening. We're letting mass media or society run the way we operate, versus getting it from an elder telling us what, it's because it's not cool. They're more traditional.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say we, but not necessarily me per se, but the younger don't want to do that traditional because it was more conservative.
Right.
And the younger generation doesn't want to follow conservative as much. So,
See?
I agree with Ashley. But I'm very lucky. I'm very close to my mom, so I've always had my mom. She's definitely my best friend. Like, I go to her for everything. So whenever I had any type of issues, whether it was boy issues, school issues, work issues, whatever it was, I've always gone to her.
Right.
And I trust her word. I trust her opinion. Even though we may disagree on a lot of things, my mom's very conservative. She sees things more as a little bit more closed in.
Mm-hmm.
But I still value what she tells me, because I want to be better and I look up to her. And if I can be half the woman that she is, I'd be amazed.
Oh my gosh, I think we all got all of us. Like, our eyes all started watering. Holy moly, that is a beautiful.
We didn't have that with the guys.
Whoa, wow. Okay.
Ditto again to both ladies. Absolutely. I had my parents who reared me. I had two sets of parents, my biological and the parents that reared me. My parents who reared me were older. They were 52 and 70 when they got me. When they were actually my babysitters and my family left me. So I had the opportunity to have the older parent, grandmama mittens kind of pouring you down. Everything was different. Because, they didn't wear shorts when they were teenagers. And when I came in, it was Daisy Duke era. So, having that, you kind of got that instilled in you.
Mm-hmm.
And even when mom passed, when I was 14, I still had dad. So I always had the elders around in church.
Right.
Now, in regards to your question as well, is it a lack thereof now? Yes. Mm-hmm. Even our nonprofit that I started, that's actually our key verse. Titus 2 is what it is. Titus 2, older women teach the younger, whatever. Because as Ashley was saying, to skip a generation, studies are actually showing that we're on our third generation of a lost generation. We're actually in the middle of our third,
Right.
where the roll down is not the same. Where we missed it is that they're not listening as much because we didn't pass it on the same way. So they don't know to pass it on.
Right.
They don't know to sit down and have the conversations like grandma sat you on the stool, mama sat you on the stool. Something was on Facebook one day and say grandmama's missing in the kitchen like they used to. You know, just it was you know, and that is missing.
Right.
So they don't have it to grab on, and it's our responsibility now that we know through panels like this. What's our responsibility to take it on? Do we have somebody young that we can mentor? Do we have somebody the person that took me, my mama, my spiritual mama?
Right.
I called her today on my way here. You know, whether it's for a prayer or to ask her silly things or how to get this cornbread the way I want it.
Right.
You know, she takes the time.
Gotcha.
And a lot of times in our busy society, the busier we are with more social media, kudos to you for not having social media, girl.
Right.
The busier and more social media we have, the less social we are.
Mm-hmm.
And the busier we are, the less time we're taking, calling the kids over from the neighborhood. You know, my mama, I thought she was crazy. She just called all the kids over to the neighborhood and everybody just be sitting around the house. And I'm like, I'm stopped. All us together. I didn't know you didn't do that.
Right.
And we don't really have that as much anymore.
We don't. We have. You're right. We are more connected to people.
Yes.
But we're a lot less relational.
That's good.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes.
And a lot less social to me. So the things that we used to get taught as far as our social skills, there's a lack.
Right.
You know, please and thank you, simple things like that,
Right.
where it's missing.
It's missing.
It's slowly dying.
Right.
And then we're getting offended when you have people that are in the area that want to, when teachers try to correct a child, you don't want your teacher to correct the child or the officers to correct the child anymore.
And it used to take a village, right?
It used to take a
Well,
village.
it still takes a
supposed
village.
to. It still takes
It
one.
still does.
It used to
Absolutely.
be respected to take a village.
Absolutely.
And now it's not respected.
And that's the thing that hasn't changed,
Mhm.
right? That necessity of
Yes.
village
Right.
hasn't changed. What's changed is
The expectation of how
right.
we
We've put the village up in a cloud,
Right.
literally,
Right.
right? And there's nothing worse to me than when you see people out at dinner or you see a family, right? And everyone's at the restaurant and everyone's like
in
this. Even the 2-year-old is swiping.
Right.
What are you doing? 2-year-olds know how to go onto YouTube and
Right.
find the video that they want to watch.
Yet our education system isn't as strong as it used to be. So they can find everything on their tools, but they're not making it in school.
Exactly. I mean, and I think the other thing too is we're not reinforcing family time.
Right.
I think this is a
sit
whole
down.
other panel.
It is a whole other
Yeah.
panel, you guys. It's a whole other panel. Listen, we are getting that indication that we need to roll to commercial. So come back after about 2 minutes and we will reconvene our panel.
Thanks for tuning in to OG and Gigi. Be sure to visit our website, ogandgigi.com, and place your order for our date or dare cards.
You want a long-term relationship, but is that true for the person you're dating?
Ask those deep questions and dig way beneath the surface to uncover who you're sitting across from.
And we wouldn't be us if there wasn't an element of fun in this deck.
So, date or dare.
Comment, like, and subscribe to remain connected. Hey, G's!
Thanks for tuning in into OG and Gigi. Be sure to visit our website, ogandgigi.com, and create your account to access your free vetting checklist.
If you are in a relationship currently, the checklist may affirm that your relationship is on the right track.
That's right, and may also spark some conversation to get you where you want to be.
So comment, like, and subscribe to remain connected.
So you're single, but are you sure you're ready to mingle? We have just what you need to answer that question.
Our dating readiness assessment is on sale for $10 on our website, and it's available for immediate download.
You owe it to your current self and your future self to take a deep dive into who you are, who you want to be, and who you want to spend the rest of your life with.
So visit www.ogandgigi.com and click shop to get your copy.
The new year is just around the corner, but we are not setting any New Year's resolutions.
That's right, OG. We are anti-New Year's resolution. Instead, we are all about designing your own amazing life, starting whenever you want.
And that's right. For a limited time, our goal-setting workbook is available for a free download at ogandgg.com.
So instead of setting a New Year's resolution, we invite you to make it your goal to radically redefine your life.
As we always say, be blessed and be a blessing.
Welcome back to commercial break, guys, and we'll get right back into it.
Right. So we were talking about like taking younger people under our wing, and I know we're here in South Florida, and I see a lot of work locally where men are doing that, but I love that you're doing that for young women. That is something that is so needed. I feel like we have to begin to not only work on ourselves and value ourselves, but as we do that, as you learn, you teach, right? So as you build your self-esteem or your self-confidence, or you learn something new, you have to teach it to younger people so that the generation, we have to pour into these new generations, because things can't continue the way they are. Because to me, we've reached critical mass.
Yes.
We just can't continue the way we are.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I've been lucky enough to fall into, men that just basically adopt other men as they're coming up, regardless if they need help or not.
Mm-hmm.
You're joining us real quick so that you don't mess up.
Right.
So,
And I have seen that more in men, to be quite honest. I see that men, and it's not, it's cross-cultural, it's across socioeconomic lines.
Yes.
Men will reach and pull other men and say, hey, let me show you this. Or if a young guy shows interest in something, a guy will come alongside him and say, hey, I see you're interested, I'll show you this. So I think as women, we need to be just more intentional to find those opportunities, right? Because they exist. We see it all the time. That doesn't mean walk up to someone and say, hey, you look like you could use a mentor. But everything has to be done from a place of love and relationship, because if it's not, then it's offensive. So, all right. So I'm going to kind of take us back a little bit to relationships and ask about red flags. What do you ladies think? What would you say are your top 3 red flags? And we'll start with Alma.
Oh. Top 3 red flags.
I keep getting this question.
The first one is scheduling. I learned this from my boy cousin, when I was little. I watched him, and I said, what you doing? He said, the rule number 1, you never let a man put you on the schedule. What's the schedule? All right, so he can only talk to you on Monday, Tuesday. You never hear from him Thursday. You notice patterns, okay? If nothing changes, words can change, all that can change. Good game can roll on a long time, but you will always notice patterns. And if the pattern puts you on a schedule, that's a red flag. If you notice you can never get him between 4 and 6, but you can always get him at 6:31, but you can't get him at 8:02,
right?
Always keep note of that. And that is not being condescending. That's not saying he don't have anything to do. That's just respecting yourself and your time.
Right.
We do it on our jobs. We do it at school. We need to do it in our relationships because we can't get time back.
Exactly.
So you're not going to put me on schedule.
Okay.
The second red flag would be, we always talk about daddy issues, but there are a lot of mama issues. Daddy issues, we got that. But mama issues, how he feels about his mother, whether mama abandoned him, rejected, whatever the case may be, how he treats women says a lot.
Right.
Are all women bees? Is it a new vernacular to you? How does he see, view, and treat women? Are they more objectified, or are they seen as a person?
Right.
And lastly, how do you feel about my feelings?
Yes.
Now, I'm not talking about being a drama queen and being over emotional, but is this thing important to you? If I am allergic to cats and you have a cat, every time I come over, do you have to have the cat on the couch? Or do you consider me enough? I'm just using that example. Do you consider me enough to put the cat in the room?
Right.
You know, just basic standard respect. Do you care about how I feel?
Right.
And if he Can't do that. But always wants me to care about how he feel. That ain't no red flag. That's a stop sign.
Listen, yes, that's it. That's all I can say. Yes, yes. See, the top 3 red flags.
Alrighty. The first thing is, what kind of person are you when you're mad? Are you throwing things, cursing, calling people names? If you're that person, I just can't deal with that.
Right.
You learn a lot by the way a person reacts to stress. And I'm not just talking about work stress, because work stress is a little bit different than being at home type of stress where you can be yourself and really, if you're mad, just throw that chair. You know, what kind of person are you when you're mad? Next thing is, if we're serious, you know, we got to that point where we're living together, we're talking about a potential future together. Well, obviously we're living together, so we do have a future together, but we have a life together, you know, maybe marriage, already talking about that. Are you prioritizing me, or are you prioritizing what your friends think, what people around you think, what, you know, all these other, you know, if I do something and your friends don't agree, are you going to come talk to me and we're going to figure this out, even though you should not be, you know, taking opinions of your friends? And I'm not talking about, you know, if maybe I'm like sitting there and doing drugs, you know, I'm doing bad things for you. But if just a simple thing, maybe, you know, I wore a skirt that's a little bit too short, you know, like, are you going to come talk to me and show me the respect? Or are you going to value your friends more and turn a blind eye to me? And the next thing I would have to say is, if you don't support me and, you know, maybe I'm going through a rough time and I just need somebody there. Are you going to support me and be there for me? Or are you going to tell me I'm not on your level? Because maybe I'm going through something and you're going to tell me I'm not on your level because you're not going through the same thing. So that's definitely a deal breaker.
So are you sure it's only 3? I mean,
there are a ton of red flags.
Oh,
and I'll say this. I'll say that there are things that when I look back on past relationships, right, and I think about how they began and then how they ended, I can trace back to the red flag, the initial red flag that I was like, strange, and then said, whatever. Like, oh, well, he wants to know where I am every minute of the day. He loves me.
Better pull him a deal.
Right. I mean, seriously, there's things like we have to be careful of what we tell ourselves is normal in relationships. Obviously, someone wanting to be in your presence is normal and it makes you feel good. But how do you have to keep tabs on me? Those are things that we let go, and then all of a sudden we find ourselves in a situation that could be potentially dangerous for us. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Both of them made really good points. Respect. I think for me to do the umbrella to cover a lot of things that would circle all of these things. Respect. So that means respecting himself. If he doesn't respect himself, how can he respect me or anyone in our circle or anyone at all? So I like what Z said about Jesus. I just had a moment.
Just think about it. It's fine.
Support, yes. So if I'm doing something and you can't even take the time, and I think that falls under respect, because if you respected me, you would take that time to, hey, even if it's nothing that you're involved in or know of, hey, well, I know that you like wearing makeup, the pink one to be exact. How was that pink makeup going? Oh, it's great, babe. Thanks for asking. Simple, you know. But if you can't take that time, it's all about you. Like someone that is all about themselves. Red flag. Oh, my knee hurts. Oh, I just broke my nail. Oh, my knee hurts. I could have sworn I just told him my nail just hurt. I just broke my nail. Like, and he's just not even in tune with me saying that I just broke my nail.
Mhm.
And he's complaining about his knee continuously. Like, did I say something? Guess not. So my voice, I would like my voice to mean something. So someone that's not paying attention to me, red flag. Someone that's they're all about themselves, self-absorbed, red flag. Checking on you every moment of the day is definitely a red flag for a multitude of reasons. That is creepy.
Technical term. Creepy.
So yeah, so I think I just named two, but I pretty much piggybacked off of what they said because what they said were both profound in that red flag process. Because there are a lot of tops of red flags.
Yeah. And I think as you get older and you have lived experience, you're able to not only rely on the red flags that you personally experience, but then you see the other things happening with people in your circle. So those are, I'm really good at dropping stuff. Those experiences, kind of going back to what we talked about, sharing with younger people, like you have a toolbox, right? So when we talk about, saying to younger people, hey, listen, I see that he's calling you like every 15 minutes, or the expectation is as soon as you come in, you need to call, So, as we talk about red flags and we talk about things that we think are cute in the beginning may not be so cute, right? So, like you said, someone putting you on a schedule, the patterns, right? The patterns of, does this person disappear for certain days of the week? The patterns of like telling you that you need to do certain things. You need to call me as soon as you get home. You need to call me as soon as you get to work. Hey, where are you? In the beginning, we think they're cute, but some of those can lead to other things. As women, we gain different life experiences, and with those experiences, we have the obligation, we have the responsibility to share that knowledge with younger women so that we can close the gap that we all talked about, right? Guys, this has been a tremendous episode,
Yes, it has.
right? And we've come to the end. We have no more time with these ladies. However, we'll plan something so that we can bring our ladies together.
And maybe the men as well.
We'll see, unless we just want to continue this. This is a little
Girl
different,
power.
right? Right, girl power. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah, I just want to thank them individually for coming here and just sharing with everybody.
And making yourselves available. I know, like, these ladies work today, and you don't know, but we're taping pretty late at night, and I'm so thankful to all of you for answering my phone call and accepting, coming and sharing.
Thank you for this.
So this is the end of our episode. Thank you. So, as always, I'm OG, and this is Gigi. And as always, be blessed.
And be a blessing.